Hello, my name is Nell, and I'm the founder and CEO of Folia Health. We're a Cambridge-based company, and right now we're in product development stage. So I'm going to make a pitch before I talk, so you can pay more attention if you're interested. I'm looking for a lead backend developer right now, as well as a part-time CFO type of person, and then we're also very interested in talking to you if you were a parent of a kid with chronic disease. So with that, I think it probably would surprise a lot of you in the audience that about 1 in every 5 American children lives with a chronic disease, at least one, and out of those 20% of kids, a full quarter of them actually live with 2 or more. So these are kids who, and these are people who are actually within the healthcare system. So these are people who are actively seeking care. There are people who are not even seeking care outside of those numbers. So what we're looking to do at Folia is to help the parents of these kids better manage their information. So the problem is pretty self-explanatory if you've ever been close to someone who has a chronic disease. So I don't want to spend too much time on it, but basically the issue is that currently the healthcare system is not built to help you organize your care or understand your care. And for parents who, on top of trying to understand and organize care, are also dealing with a sick child, it can be kind of overwhelming, especially when you're looking at situations where there's a single parent household or both parents work full time. The amount of time and energy that's required to be a good caregiver for a child with a chronic disease can be kind of crazy. So the reason that I'm working on this is actually that my younger brother, who's just a couple years younger than I am, he has a pretty complex chronic disease, and my mom actually had to leave her job as a full-time attorney and become a part-time adjunct law professor because of the amount of time that she had to spend being his medical secretary, basically. And my entire childhood was filled with watching my mom take ridiculously fast notes at doctor's appointments and trying to get a hold of everything. And she was lucky. She was one of the lucky ones because she has a great education and also is someone who is very conscientious and knows how to organize stuff, and a lot of people are not my mom. So what we're trying to do is help people, my mom and others that don't even have the resources she has, to manage their healthcare. So just because we don't have a ton of time, let me move through this pretty quickly. Where do I get the presentation on here? 0. Bless you. Weirdly enough, my mom is actually calling me right now. It's very, very strange. She's not here. So I'll just kind of, it's very, very weird. So I'll just talk through this. So basically, what Folia does is we are, this right here? Yeah. So we are a care plan management system. So this is kind of what I talked through, and I have more details. Thank you, if you're interested. But basically what we do is we're a 3-part care management system. So the first part is we help you understand what you're supposed to be doing with your child. So instead of leaving their doctor appointment thinking, okay, I have a pretty good idea that I need to go pick up an inhaler, and I think I need to take that once a day, but there's something else that my doctor said about what I should do during an asthma attack that I'm not totally clear, and I'll probably have to call my doctor back when she has an asthma attack because I don't have it in writing, or I don't have a good record of it. Instead, what Folia does, this is our first part, care plan entry, we help you to understand your care plan in a simple and modularized, stepwise fashion. So you know what you're supposed to do as routine, and you also know what your symptom or episode management plan is. So you have that kind of right at your fingertips, and I can talk more about the mechanism of this, but essentially we take raw provider input, so recordings from your appointments, notes, either written or typed, and also documents that you can scan. We accept these as raw forms of information to create this organized care plan. The second part is the control center. So this is the app portion of what we're doing. And the control center is basically both mobile and desktop, because some of our parents don't really like using their phones. They're over the age of 40. And no offense to techie over the age of 40 people. But so basically what the control center does is it helps our parents to manage day-to-day condition tracking. So what we do is we help them say, okay, my kid today is having a great day, don't need to track anything, but later that week they might get an alert from us saying, hey, like, what has happened this week? Has your child had a migraine this week? You can say no, great. You say yes, we ask you 3 or 4 questions that are predictive. They're based on your child's profile, the care profile that we have from the care plan entry, and we gain information. Why is this important? So at the end of the 3-month interval between when you've seen your doctors, you now have a host of information about what happened to your child. And what's most important about this is that we also gather information about outcomes. So when you tried a given treatment, did it work? How well did it work? We're using a grading system that was proposed by a couple of people at Yale that's very easy to understand. It's just basically A through F. This treatment matched my expectations. And so what ends up happening is that this information is exported as an appointment guide. That's part 3. So the appointment guide has all the information about what you've experienced, how well your treatments have worked, and then also what your questions are. And this is one of the most important pieces because parents often have a lot of questions while they're dealing with their child's illness, and then you show up at the appointment and you can't remember any of them, and the doctor's talking at you really fast, and it's 12 minutes, and then you leave and you get in the car and you realize what you actually meant to talk about, and you also often realize that the care plan doesn't address those problems. So in order to kind of create an actual effective care plan that is reacting to the data that you have input and your questions, this is very important to have this appointment guide. We like to think about it as an agenda. So, you know, in no other industry you're going to go into a $300 meeting without an agenda, right? This is an agenda for your doctor's appointment.
Now, could you go into a quick demo?
Absolutely. So let me just run it here. So I just have a quick demo here of our prototype for the app portion, so component 2. So this is the iPhone interface, and as you can see, it's very simple. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Now you can see.
Great. Okay, so it's very simple. Our idea is to be kind of as minimalistic as possible. So if we just go into a care plan, for instance, you can see, okay, you can either see what you're supposed to do today or the full care plan. So let's look at the full care plan. So you can look at routine, things you're supposed to do during a migraine, if your child has a migraine, what you're supposed to do in school. You can share this with people who need to see it in school. So let's click on during a migraine. It'll click. So what you can see here is, okay, the severity is not bad and no nausea. So we're supposed to take Advil migraine, and then these are some behavioral techniques. But let's say that actually the severity is a little worse today, so now suddenly we see, okay, in your care plan, this is the prescription that you're supposed to take. So you can kind of, extrapolate how this is supposed to work. The other major component are the alerts. So these are things that remind you to take medications, remind you to enter information. And one of the things that we're most excited about from a data perspective is the need help button. So if you're not taking your medication, we gather information about why not. So things like you need a refill, or maybe something that's more medically serious, like you are experiencing side effects. Other things we've talked about, including here, are if you're not exercising. We ask you, why have you not tracked exercise in a week? And you say, oh, because it's too cold outside. These are triggers that can help your doctor in the appointment problem solve with you, and they can prescribe you a gym pass. That's something that's possible for a lot of physicians. Or they can, if you're saying that your kid is not comfortable exercising because they're having problems breathing, that can lead to a diagnosis of asthma, right? So this, why are you not adhering to your care plan, is actually a very important piece of what we're doing. So yeah, I'll stop the demo there. There's kind of a lot that I could show you, so I'm happy to talk to people who have specific questions, but I'd love to just walk in a little.
It's targeted only at children. It feels like this would be applicable for chronic care, for oncology or elder care.
Yeah, so we do support pediatric oncology, first of all. Secondly, we believe very strongly that one of the problems with the way that digital health has developed over time is that, it's been a kind of one-size-fits-all approach. And so if you think about it, when you're creating any other type of consumer product, you never pick the entire US population, right? You always look for a specific target audience. And for healthcare, it's the same. The needs of a pediatric population, and specifically the parents of a pediatric population, are different. That having been said, looking forward, 5-10 years down the road, we're very interested in branching into geriatrics because it's a similar type of thing, and there's a caregiver-patient relationship there as well.
What's your business model? Is this parents pay a fee to use this, or physicians?
Sure. So we have options. So we do have a B2C portion. where parents can, there's a free version. Obviously, the piece of this that costs money is the care plan entry process, and so you could access this without that and do your own manual entry, not recommended. What our major plan is to do B2B2C. So the idea is we sell this to providers and to payers. Payers are the long game because insurance companies, they currently already do reimburse for care management systems, and what we're building is actually both cheaper and more effective than what exists in the market right now. So our long-term plan is we say to you, are you on any of these insurance company plans? And you say yes, and we say, okay, here's your free Folia. So that's the long-term plan.
Maybe I missed it, and I think maybe that goes into another question, but why isn't this for everybody?
Just because we believe that, at least in the short term, in order to create a bespoke solution, kind of like what you were talking about in your presentation, thinking of that ideal user, we are kind of laser focused on creating the best possible solution for parents of kids with chronic disease. And hopefully that's generalizable, but right now that's not what we're focused on. And it's a big enough market.
So I mean, I understand the market entry makes perfect sense, but is there anything about the product that will let me use it to track my asthma or whatever else?
No, definitely not.
Myself, right?
No, and we wouldn't keep people from using it. Part of it is also that the caregiver-patient dynamic is something that is a little bit different. And so it's almost more of an additional thing that we're doing rather than something that would keep you from using it for yourself. And also, you can just see here, we have this nifty little thing where, again, if it works. Well, if it worked, you would see that you can access this for multiple profiles. So you're currently in your 9-year-old daughter's profile, but you could also access your son, you can access one of the parents. And so what we're building this for is eventually a full family solution.
One more question, please.
Right there.
Yeah, thanks. Is the caregiver entering the data into the platform?
So our goal is to have this be as little work and time from the caregiver as possible. The idea of this is to streamline. So the care plan entry is happening, we're doing that. So it's a process that what we've created to basically modularize the instructions that your doctor is giving you and organize them in a fashion that's useful to you. And then the data entry is via the caregiver, but that is button-based. So there's no like typing or anything like that. It's mostly alert-based. So you receive something that asks you to enter information, and then when you're entering information, it's all question and answer.
Just one more question, please. How about interface to wearable tech to get
Sure.
telemetry?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm excited about it. I think that especially for our diabetes patients, we're very interested because there are some pretty far along solutions, and it's not that hard if they have APIs to plug it in. So yeah, definitely something we're interested in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Folia Health.